name changed at Christmas. Steve Morris, the guy who was on the album, co-writer and everything else. At Christmas, while we had a word and we thought it best, he stayed home and started working on writing some songs for the next record. So the chemistry wasn't. We got so far, but it just wasn't working. And since then, we changed. And so now, since Christmas, I'm very happy. I think the band's getting tight now. We've still got a long way to go, but at the moment, you see, the new guitar player's working on material that's not his own.
Yeah.
Things evolve, you know.
Yeah.
So I look forward to another 3 or 4 months on the road. Well, till June, the end of June, we're working. It's 1 year tour.
So this is a band now, like Gillan used to be before the last reunion, or is it just backing musicians for yourself on the tour?
Yeah, it's a band.
It's a band.
Yeah, it's my band, but it's a band. It's difficult to describe, really. I think everyone expects a certain category of definition, you know, like a singer and his backing group, or it's a total unit. It's halfway in between, you know. Everyone has their say on everything. I mean, Brett and Leonard, it's very democratic, just like the Gillan band was in the 70s and 80s. But I guess I sort of lead the band, and then we share everything. Yeah. What can I say? It's difficult to.
Is this your first major tour in the world after the split from Purple?
No. Well, no, not really. No. Since Purple, I've been on the road, just gradually trying to change. I started with a 7-piece, and now I've got a 3-piece. You know. So it's evolved as confidence grows and as musicians change. You think about this and that, and I don't know. It's ever so hard to sort of be analytic about it and to actually describe what it is. It's just a natural process. You feel, you move with the, you know, feelings. It's a question of musicians you work with. They inspire you to do a little bit of this, a little change in direction, and then, as I say, confidence grows. I remember with Steve finding out, saying, get rid of the keyboards. You know, any keyboards on the next record. Well, not on the record, but just when we were writing the songs. And you don't even know why he said it. It's just a spark in the back of your mind. You just think, well, if I have keyboards, I tend to write the songs going, Well, if you get rid of the keyboards, you've got to go, it's just guitar, bass and drums. You've got to work a lot harder and be a lot more aggressive. And I felt more aggressive with the confidence when we started working on the toolbox. So a little thing like that, just sitting home one day, you just have an idea and you think, and that can lead to the whole change of the structure of the band. You don't know why, who knows why you do these things, I don't know. It's just a combination of inspiration and experience, I guess.
In your case, they turn out great.
Well, not always, no. I mean, if it doesn't turn out right, then it's not going to be a disaster, but you just have to keep plugging away until you get it right. You know, albums like Naked Thunder and Toolbox remind me very much of albums like Clear Air Turbines and Scarabus and stuff like that in the developing years before the previous Gillan band. And albums like Fireball, for example, was a very important album. It was not successful, but it was vital that we did that album because that was the springboard for Machine Head. That was the link between Deep Purple and rock and Machine Head. But if we hadn't done Fireball, we would have done another album like Deep Purple and rock, and that wouldn't have been exactly right. We had to make that progression, and you've got to think about it. You don't always know why you're doing it, but you've got to think and try to work and get to the next stage.
So how does it feel to be back on the road playing in these small places for small audiences compared to the mega arenas playing in Purple?
Fantastic. Absolutely great. For many reasons. One, 400, 500, 600 people would look stupid in Wembley Arena. So let's be honest about it. Two, I don't think, I'm a singer and I don't want to spend the rest of my life living on my reputation. I want to work with contemporary musicians in contemporary music as long as I can. And I think that means that every 2 or 3 years you've got to go back to square one and start again. Not as graphically as that, but there's a certain process. Every new generation of audience comes along, and they don't want the music of their parents or their older brothers. They want their own music. They want something that they can judge, and you've got to relate to that. So you've got to constantly work with younger musicians and new players with new ideas and learn from them. And you can teach them as well as they can teach you. So it's all a question of, that's what rock music's about. It's not just about screaming and yelling. There's the writing, there's the songs, there's the craft, there's the discipline. It's just a world of excitement to me. It's never ending. And you learn as you go along. Every day is a new experience. But I love being in a bus on the road with the band, the crew, the equipment, with the mics down at my house every day. It's great.
Yeah, but you've been doing this for a long time now. What drives you to make new albums and go on tour year after year?
Well, it's what I do. I'm a fan, really. I remember when I was a kid, I used to stand there watching Cliff Bennett and the Rubber Houses and the Outlaws and Screaming Lord Touch and the Savages, and just standing there in the front of the stage going, my God, this is great. And I used to stand to this side of the stage and I used to stand this side of the stage, but I always figured the best place was right in the middle. And I thought the only place I can get nearer to being in the band is by actually being in the band. And if I'm in the band, I want to be the singer. I want to be standing right there where I can hear the drums thundering and the band cranking away. And that feeling is just incredible. And in those years in the 60s, before we started writing, before the Beatles and before Bob Dylan and everything else, all we did was copy other people. And so we used to sing blues. We had a pretty good understanding of the blues. As you can see from a lot of the guitar players and musicians that came out of England in those days, it was very much of a cult thing. And we understand the blues more than any white American did. Much more. They couldn't relate to it at all. White and black were totally separated in America. And what they call rhythm and blues is totally different to what we understand as rhythm and blues. We understand rhythm and blues being Chuck Berry and stuff like that. They understand rhythm and blues being black music, whatever it is. So that the rhythm and blues incorporated what we call soul and tango and everything else. That was all rhythm and blues to white Americans. And so we have a good understanding of that, the soul and the feeling of it. And there's something compatible with our desire to just break out of that mold. If you look at English singers and musicians in the 60s, I mean, English singers in the 60s were hilarious. I mean, they were just like, do the time straight. It was like so really frustrating, you know. And all the stuff that was good was underground. It wasn't allowed on TV or anything like that. It was just too dangerous for the establishment, you know. And that was what gave birth to the whole bursting through of these ideas. And I think that having got that under your belt first, the enjoyment of actually the music, actually learning the craft, if you like, having to complete. With episode 6, we did a tour with Dusty Springfield. We were opening, we did 4 minutes to open the first half and 7 minutes to open the second half. And then we did a medley of songs in 7 minutes in the second half. And if we played more than 20 seconds over or under, we were fined our whole night's fee. And if we were more than 30 seconds over or under, we were going to get thrown off the tour. And we were paid £50 a night, I think, or something like that. And for that, we had to provide our accommodation with that. And it was unbelievable, the discipline, the sense of timing, what you had to do. And the things I learned on that tour, I'll never forget, ever. And it's a craft first, and you get driven by it. It's like, I'm a keen carpenter, I make all my own furniture at home. And to learn to use your tools and everything else, you can't make anything until you understand how to do it. If you're going to be a painter, you have to learn the technique first. If you want to be a guitar player, you've got to study to learn. Before you can express yourself, you have to learn the technique. And that's why I never stop, because it's now easy, to a certain extent, to express yourself, because we've got the technique. We spent a long time learning it. And now we're having a ball. We're just having a great time. We can concentrate on all the fun things now. It's not a driving force, it's just easy. It's just so easy. It's it's fun.
You worked with Roger Glover on the album Accidentally on Purpose. Do you have any kind of working relationship with him still?
Yeah, we send dirty faxes to each other. Fax machines are wonderful things. We send jokes and abuse and happy birthday wishes, and well, I know what his kids are doing, and he knows what my family's doing, and we keep in touch pretty well. And, I guess we're certainly going to make another record together, maybe in 5 or 10 years' time. Who knows? Maybe next year. I don't know. Whenever he's ready, whenever I'm ready. It's a comfortable relationship. We've known each other for, I don't know, it must be 25, 26 years, 24, 25. I've been singing for 30 years this August. So from August this year till August next year will be my 30th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Singing for money.
Talking about singing, a lot of the stuff you've been doing with Purple and on your own is very demanding for the voice. How do you keep your voice intact after so many years?
Well, it's natural. I think that was, going back to what I was saying earlier, you spend a lot of time learning what to do. You don't just go out and do it. It takes 6 or 7 years just to figure what you can do and what you can't do, what comes easy and how far you can reach. And, I mean, I tell people now we do, they look at the tour schedule, oh my God, you're doing 7 shows without a night off. That's not really, we used to do 7 shows in one night. Really. 7 shows in one night. In the clubs in Germany, you do 45 minutes on, 15 minutes on, 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off, 45 on, 15 minutes on. In Beirut, we used to do all night, we used to work all afternoon. And we used to go to another place and do matinees, do children's shows in the afternoon. Unbelievable. So it's not difficult. This is really easy. I find it really easy. I mean, not difficult at all.
A lot of singers that leave their bands or want to try to make solo efforts, they tend to make a completely different music from what they played before. But when you formed Gillan first time and now the second time doing solo stuff, it sounds pretty much the same music as Deep Purple, going to the hard rock scene. Is that the music that you feel most comfortable with?
Well, I like rock music. I like music that sometimes I get introverted. It depends on the mood you're in. The last 2 records I made, Make It Thunder and Toolbox, one has been very introvert and quite contemplative, and the other one's been quite aggressive. For me, rock is it's an attitude, it's a state of mind, it's not just a fashion. And I think my biggest influence these days are the musicians I work with.
That's good.
So whatever they want to do, I tend to go along with that.
Well, can you compare what's the difference between your own audience, the Gillan fans that come to see you, or the Purple fans? Is there any difference? Or
they kind of merge together really after a while. There's not. It's very hard to judge. Very hard to judge. I guess the Purple fans that come along are the ones that like what I'm doing. I don't think it's easy for me to analyse that. I talk to loads of fans after the shows normally, but I never know. They're both, they've got the Deep Purple records, they've got the Gillan records, and everything else.
so you don't feel any pressure to play Purple tunes just because people expect to hear them?
No, I think if I was in the audience, I always consider myself to be a rock fan. If I was in the audience, I would like to hear some Deep Purple songs. I've got to consider now which ones to do, because my priority is getting things moving again in a new situation, the new band. So right now we're promoting the Toolbox album, and I think the next tour will be obviously the next album that we're working And it depends on balance. Don't forget now I've got a 3-piece band, there's no keyboards or anything else, so I've got to choose which songs are going to sound okay without keyboards, which songs are going to be compatible with